Kirana and welcome to our show. My name is Phillip Nordt and I have a restaurant in Rarotonga called OTB, On the Beach Restaurant Bar at Manua Beach Resort. But today we are starting a little television series about cooking and it's called The Chef's Table. And at the Chef's Table we chose our first subject is the barbecue. Here I want to showcase that we can do other things with the barbecue, and also I want to highlight a few important matters which you have to know when you barbecue things. There's health aspects, there's different oils which burn, etc., etc. So I'm just going through my dishes and I explain as we go why we are cooking this particular dish in a barbecue. What I have here is a rack of veal. That's a young beef. For those who don't know what a veal is, so it's a very young beef. It's a baby beef called veal. Very popular in Europe. We don't have it that much in Australia and New Zealand. However, it's becoming more and more popular, mainly because the taste is excellent and it's lean and it grills extremely well. So that's our first dish, is the lamb rack. We grill that whole and then we cut it when we serve it. Over here I have something very interesting, and this is a whole loin of lamb. You could use a loin of goat, and as you can see, we got the the lamb fillet still attached, and we can just take that off because this is very nice to do other dishes with this. For example, a rare Vietnamese or Cambodian lamb salad. So you can virtually just take this off here, take a little knife, and discard that, because, of course, the fillet, like a T-bone, has a piece of fillet on it, cooks much quicker than our loin, and that's why you want to do a different dish with this, and it's also quite expensive because $48 a kilo when you buy it on itself. So I buy this whole back, or just cuts of the back loin of the lamb. And what we do with this, I just put a bit of garlic and a little bit of thyme on it. What we do, we grill this whole on the bone. Yes? And why do we do that? Mainly because we don't want it to shrink. So once it's grilled on this side, nicely charred, then we take it off the bone and then we char it again. And then we serve it after it's been rested. And then with the bone, we can make beautiful lamb stock, and we can also give it to a dog if you like to. However, as you can see here, I've trimmed most of the fat off. When you get a lamb chop, there's about this much fat. And everybody says, okay, I like the fat. But the fat burns, it creates acroleins, which is highly poisonous and cancer causing. So I recommend to trim. You see, I left a little bit of lamb fat on, so you can actually appreciate the lamb with a bit of fat on it, and it gives it extra flavor, yes? So that's why we did that. However, that's how we deal with this dish, and we demonstrate that later. So with the veal, going back to the veal, we have different sauces. So the first sauce with the veal is a gastrique. Most people don't know what a gastrique is, but to explain a gastrique reminds you, acid. It's acid. It's an acid sauce. So this sauce is made usually with brown sugar, with vinegar, and then you can add things. So we are adding with this gastrique, we're adding pineapple and strawberry and green peppercorns. Yes, and we make a tangy, tropical flavored sauce with this veal. With this lamb, as you see, we put garlic already. So we put a Provençal sauce. Provençal sauce is virtually garlic and parsley and onions. It's the traditional French sauce coming from the Provence, which is one of the sophisticated or special regions in France where they have a lot of delicacies, and some of them are lamb. And the sauce Provençal has become famous all over the world because it's very tasty. Okay, moving on, we have beef fillet. So why are we char grilling the whole piece? It's very simple. If I put a little steak on the grill, it goes cold soon when we take it out. If you rest it too long, it goes dry and shrivelly. If you take a whole beef fillet, or you could take a rump, or you could take any large piece, what you have is the fluids within the cut will circulate. And what they will give you is a cut which can be grilled longer than a normal steak. That means you get way more flavor through the charring process. As you can see, we are char grilling this on the open fire, that means on charcoal, and this gives it another added flavor. And also what you see here, while we have a little bit of garlic here and a bit of thyme on our lamb, on our beef fillet we have nothing. Nothing at all. No sauce, no oil, no nothing, no marinade. Why? Why? When you watch movies from Lebanon, you see these huge fires. A wood fire has 417 degrees. These huge fires sear any meat perfectly. If you marinate it, if you put oil on it, they're starting to flame up. If you put sugar sauces on it or barbecue sauce or whatever, they char right up. What you can do with those sauces, you can do an overnight smoke or braising methods, but not with prime cuts like this. Yeah, even if it's a rump, a whole rump, a piece of rump, you can do the same thing, grill it whole, and then the key is the beef is a muscle. Any muscle meat gets tough when you expose it to heat. This here is a very, very tender cut. The tenderest there is tenderloin, beef fillet. It comes from the Black Angus from New Zealand, and it's grass-fed, so it's just about the best quality you can get, expensive too. But you can do that with any other big cut. That means what we're doing, we chose the best cut today because we decided to try this out on the open barbecue and make a beef fillet rather than any other cut. So this beef fillet is served with a herb butter, normal herb butter. But what we do as well, we have this red onion. So we make an onion confit. Confit is like confiture. Confiture is marmalade, right? So it's a jam. So we make an onion jam, a red onion jam, and we serve it with the garlic butter and with the beef fillet. We serve onion confit and garlic butter with the beef fillet. Now, once this beef fillet or any of those cuts have been rested, so they're really nice and tender, they will be cut and then served, rather than cutting a piece off and putting it on a barbecue. Yeah? That means, that gives me also the possibility that we can actually keep this a bit longer and reheat it. Yeah? Because it's not cut yet. As soon as you cut it, pays to serve it because you have fluids coming out of your cut. However, what I do is, I just let it sit for about half an hour. It's a big cut, can sit a long time, and it goes tender and it goes pink in the middle, and it's just perfect. That's how you treat these kind of cuts. So, moving on to fish. So, each time I buy the fresh fish, I see vacuum pack it straight away, mainly because it deteriorates as soon as you cut into fish. So it gets filleted from the big fish, and then we cut it straight off. Mahi-mahi here, and tuna here. Tuna loin, nice fresh cut. So these will be served with a coriander and lime butter, the mahi-mahi. Yeah? And the butters are very, very good to use for barbecues because they are patient. They sit in the fridge, you just cut them, put them on top, great sauce, straight away. And then we have the tuna. And the tuna is served with the peperonata. Peperonata is virtually sort of a pepper sauce with capsicums and onions. And you can put a bit of chili. And you virtually cook that down a bit. And then you serve it over your cut piece of fish. And here also, this fish, I grill the whole piece. And then I serve it up when I slice it. When we serve it, we slice it and serve it straight away and serve it with our peperonata sauce. The mahi-mahi gets cut, served, coriander with it, and the coriander lime butter sauce with it. So there we go. Now we're ready to cook. So what we do first is we do our sauces. I just want to recap one important thing. I do not marinate any meat, red meat cuts. I explained before, if you put canola oil in it or oils like that, first of all, they're not very good for you. Second of all, they flame up. And then they're doing the damage because they're giving you possibly cancer, but they could make you really sick if you eat it a lot. And that's why I recommend not using any oils or any fats or even marinades. Marinades with chicken is okay, but I wouldn't use it for red meats because, as I said, you put oil on it, they flare up. If you have too much fat, it flares up, it all burns. There's flavor, but it's not good for you. So that's why we're trimming our meats nicely and then we grill them off. So first sauce, so we have the black Angus beef fillet, and what we're gonna do with this is a red onion confit. So we go like this and we cut them like this. I usually take the cores out because it makes it tidier, you know. So there we go. Take this out and then I'll just give it a whack and then we slice them like this. As you can see, you see the sticks look nicer. And this wood looks nicer when it's cooked. You get a nice finish to it. Yes. I'm just going to add them to the onions already prepared. And we're gonna add them in here and then in the pan. And I only use olive oil. You can use coconut oil, you can use butter, but you should not use canola oil or sunflower oil or any of these refined oils because they're really bad for you for many, many reasons. But I have another series where we're talking about oils and what you should use and what you shouldn't use. Take that right in. Holding some back because we are also portions up a wee bit, just like. Okay, so I got some sugar here. We just put some sugar on top. You're talking about 1 kilo of onions. I would say 200 grams of sugar. 1 kilo of onions, 200 grams of sugar. So quite a bit of sugar in there, and the onions are already very, very sweet. So that is a relatively sweet sauce, yeah? So it's not really a sauce, it's a condiment. It's just supposed to highlight the beef and the flavor of the onion. Sweet onion makes it together with the garlic butter. This will taste very nice and I'll show it later. Okay, here we go. So our next dish is the lamb. I'll show it again. We have it over here. And that was the loin of lamb on the bone. And as you can see, it's nicely trimmed. So once we've made the sauces, we will start grilling it on our wood fire. So here we have a peperonata. As I said, I like to keep it simple with the barbecue because the barbecue flavor is the thing we are after. And what we do is I just cook them all off and then we let them simmer away. Peperonata is just onions and peppers, and it gets cooked down and you get a lovely pepper and onion flavor in there. And as I said, just salt, pepper. When you look at salt and pepper, I use this here, this flaky salt. But you can use, this is expensive, it's like $30 a kilo, this stuff. But as you can see, when you add this salt, it gives it a much better flavor, first of all, because it's a flaky salt. And it's differently produced than normal iodized salt, and it has, in my opinion, a lot of benefits. One of them is that you can actually feel the salt in your hand. You know, when you have this fine iodized salt and you put it over, very often you over season. With this salt, you know exactly, and I've checked it, how much I put on, and it gives me a better seasoning technique. Yeah, so I like that. And then we put a bit of pepper with this later on, and that's actually it. I just like to keep the flavors just with peppers and onions. So now that our sauces are sort of simmering away, we make the next sauce, and that goes with the best end of lamb. That means the lamb loin, and we are doing a sauce provençal with that. And we're starting with the garlic, lots of. Unfortunately, there's not much parsley around, so I couldn't get any. So we have to make do with tomato and garlic and some rosemary. So just gonna chop them roughly. I would say you need a whole bulb or two, depends on how much you want. If you make sauces, by the way, it always pays to make a little bit more than you need, because you can first of all just put them in the fridge and then combine them with other stuff and use them for other applications, for stews or for other sauces where you have similar ingredients. Here's our garlic. Once again, I use olive oil. Normally you don't use extra virgin olive oil, mainly because the smoke point is a lot lower than that one of a pure olive oil. Pure olive oil has less water in it, and it's more refined and it's boiled. And that's why you can heat it to about 180, 200 degrees. Extra virgin should only do 170 maybe. And I'm adding some rosemary to that. Unfortunately, I don't have any parsley. And I don't want to use coriander because it's a little bit too, it's not the flavor I'm after. I'm after a provincial flavor, and coriander wouldn't work with this. But this works. We unfortunately not even thyme. We don't even have fresh thyme. But this rosemary here will do the business for us. It's nice and fresh and it's nice and tender. So it will give us the desired effect for this condiment. So I put it all together in here, and in we go. So what I do with this now, I'm taking it off the heat. I don't want to burn it. Don't want to burn it. And we are now doing the tomato. And here, because this tomato is used for a sauce, I just can't be bothered putting them into hot water and all that. So what I'm going to do is just like squeeze this out. Squeeze this out a little bit in here. Skin on, just squeeze it out.
I never thought of doing that.
Squeeze it out. And then we just take the skin off, like here, like so. Just go here. Just take the skin off and throw that in here too. So just show that a bit better. Here we go. Here you go. Just take this right off the skin. Skin goes in here. And then we're just gonna chop it up later and put it in our sauce provençale. If you want to do it the proper way, you can, but this is just chopped tomato. It doesn't have to look like a concasse, that means like a garnish. It's just used for a sauce type, and it's going to be cooked down anyway. So we get away with this, and it only takes a minute or two to have tomato ready for your sauce. There we go. Put it all in my little container here. All in here, and in we go in the sauce. Yes, and now we go to our last sauce, and that's with the veal. I'll show you the veal again. Our rack of veal. Lovely rack of veal. And we cut it when we serve it, when it's nice and rested. So with this, a gastrique of strawberries. They were frozen. Mangoes and green peppercorns. And we need some vinegar, red wine vinegar. And as you can see, we have some guests for our show tonight, for the first episode of the Chef's Table. There we go, that's our guests. And there's more up there, there's about 30 tonight. And hope they all have a good time. Great. Okay, let's go to our next sauce. Our next sauce is a gastrique. As I said already, gastrique reminds you of acid. We have acid, which is the acetato, red wine vinegar, and we have some brown sugar. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the brown sugar in there. It's actually a sauce or actually a base which is used with a tomato sauce, a traditional tomato sauce. And you wonder why you put extra acid with tomato. It's very simple. It doubles up on the acid and actually has an even stronger effect, and a very Moorish one together with the sugar. So I'm just going to put the sugar in here, and then we're going to put the 2 tablespoons of sugar to 1 of vinegar. But you know, it's up to taste. If your taste buds like more acid, put more in it or less. I always think it's very important to individualize sauces. So if you make a sauce of any sort, make it that it suits you and that you like it in the way you want it. You know, don't have to go by the recipe exactly. So and here's our red wine vinegar. I use Italian red wine vinegar, which is traditionally brewed, and I don't use malt or white vinegar or things like that, because this one is a traditional red wine vinegar, and it actually has a lovely flavor, and it's quite different than other vinegars. So we have this sauce is sort of merged now with the sugar and the acid, and so we just let that simmer a little bit and reduce. And in the meantime, we are using some mango. We have sort of 4 tablespoons of mango, 4 tablespoons of strawberry will do. Just chop this small. We add this to our gastrique, the peppercorns as well. So got this here. So 1, 2. It's enough. So I like this flavor from strawberries. Strawberries and green peppercorns is a traditional flavor. Yeah, I mean, in French cooking. So I just added some tropical nuances with the mango, and the green peppercorns has been used in some fine dining recipes, I guess, you know. Just pour a bit off. So there we go. Gonna put that in here. So we just add this into our sauce, which is reducing here our gastrique, and you can see how nicely caramelizing. It's nicely caramelizing now. So just add this in, and on top of that we'll be adding some green peppercorns, and I just think 1 tablespoon is enough, but I like it, so I put a bit more. There we go, and a bit more. And we add a little of our salt. It's a flaky sea salt. There we go. And don't need pepper for that because we have green peppercorn. So this is all good. We've combined everything now, so we just let this reduce a little bit. And now we're going to do our barbecue. And I'm starting with our lamb loins on the bone. And as you see, we just put a bit of garlic on it, no oil, and straight on. And as I said, this is just the start of it, because we have to still take it off the bone and then grill it again. So this will really sear this nicely on that side, and then we turn it over and give it a nice pattern, and then we'll take it off and we'll take it off the bone and then re-grill it, because this will go quite quick. So our other meat here is our veal rack. There we go. Put that right on here. I marinate a little bit with leftover lemon peel, and we let this do its business. Yes, and now the pièce de résistance, which is our beef fillet, beef tenderloin. And as you've seen with the others, I haven't really salted much at this stage, but this one here, we're gonna give it a bit of salt and pepper, so plenty of that. And the other items which we have, we will also salt over the top now. And explain a little bit more why we salt in certain ways. Salt is hygroscopic and pulls out water. I want to have my beef fillet dry, I don't want it watery. In the grilling process, it virtually pulls the juices to the surface and then caramelizes them. Now we have salted our beef, and it should be on the grill very soon once you salted it, otherwise it dries out a bit. So I'm gonna salt over the top now of the racks. And once we turn them, I salt the other side. Now, there's a lot of theories when you salt and when you don't salt. I personally think you always need to salt, no matter if it's on a barbecue or not, because it just gives instant flavor, and as I said, pulls the juices to the surface. I didn't do the first side, but I want to do this side first, and then when we turn it, I do the other side. So here we go. Pepper over the top as well, but the presentation side is the important one to pepper. So this here, I mean, eventually it will be all in your mouth, but the presentation side is the one we really need to give a lot of pepper. And you can see I give a lot of pepper because I like a lot of pepper. If you don't like a lot of pepper, don't put a lot of pepper. But if you put pepper, never use ground pepper, always from the mill, because it's fresh. So here you see nothing, nothing, nothing. So I use the big one first. On it goes this side. I don't think we need all of this, so I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut part of this off. You can see what fantastic quality this is. So, and our meat looks like it's ready to be turned. So we go over there and turn our meat over. And also, you want to get some eggplant on. Oh, look at that. That's what I call a lovely browning, and the smell is amazing. Yeah, so we put that over here. I mean, I gotta say, I'm surprised myself the way it came up. And as you can see, no oil, no nothing, no stick, no sticking, no sticking. Just perfect meat. So we put that right over to the side. Now our veal. The result, one perfectly grilled, well, char grilled veal rack. So now I'm adding a little bit of rosemary to this beef. Beef and rosemary, they love each other. I just put a little bit of this rosemary in here, and it just gives it a lovely sort of forest fragrance. And I rest my meat very often on rosemary on my beef. If it's a strong flavor from the barbecue, it's lovely to do. I don't do it with lamb because I just like it as it is. Mainly, maybe a little bit of thyme, but I don't have that. So now we go to our eggplant. And here we go. Our eggplant, aubergine. Everybody knows where it comes from, I hope. It comes from South America, and it's a nightshade. It comes from nightshade family. So what I do with this, I just cut the sides off here on either side, because I think it's just a little bit too papery, too tough. So I'm just gonna cut this into two halves about this wide. Now if you have it thinner, it will dry out and won't be very pleasant from the barbecue, yeah? Because it needs a bit of cooking. Normally you grill your eggplant and then you can bake it. What we're gonna do is sort of a vegetarian or dish with goat's feta here. So we grill both sides. When it's really hot, put the goat's feta on with a bit of onion and tomato and layer it, and then cook it from either side until it's done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna season it. I'm not gonna bleed it with flaky sea salt. As I said, you can use some sea rock salt and put it in a mortar or in a grinder, and just I like just to do it with a knife and squeeze it a bit so it's like similar to that texture. So and then we put a bit of salt in it, a bit of pepper. So just salt and pepper, and what I do is I rub it in a little bit, you know, and go over here and put it right on the charcoal. I mean, if you have true vegetarians, you don't put it beside the meat, but this is not for true vegetarians. They all eat meat here, but we just want to have that as an addition to the meat because it goes really well with the lamb. So now our eggplant is on. We will use our lamb, and I'm gonna rest this here because we're gonna take in a minute, when this is cooled down, we're gonna take the the loin out. Gonna take the loin out, but for that it needs to be cooled down. If it's not cool, I'm losing a lot of fluid by cutting it off, and there was no advantage in doing the whole exercise. Everything here is just cooking away, and this here we will just like rest, then take it out from the bone, make a nice stock with the bones, together with some 50% beef, 50 lamb will work if you use that kind of bone. Other bones don't work that well. I like this because it's not a fatty lamb flavor. Okay, so there we go. And now we let this cook for another 20 minutes. Okay, so this is pretty well cooked now. So we bring it upstairs and we let it rest on the other barbecue. And then we will slice it and serve it. And that will come up very soon. So here we go. Okay, so we'll take that upstairs and on our other barbecue and keep it warm, and then we slice it up in the next 20 minutes. See you then. Now the fish, of course, fish goes very quickly, so we just put it at the end and give it a good searing from all sides, and then we serve it sort of medium rare. Mahi-mahi and tuna, and I love mahi-mahi from the charkill. It's just amazing. I mean, so is tuna, but mahi-mahi from the char grill is something I dream about. As a chef, fresh mahi-mahi from the char grill. Because it just comes up really absolutely beautiful. When you char this, this mahi-mahi, it just really reflects well with this char grilled flavor. It's just like amazing. And the texture of this fish is fantastic, and it's also quite hard to overcook. It's very, very user-friendly. And there we go. So now the last piece of action we have here is our goat's feta, and I'm just gonna cut a piece, make it a bit smaller from here, and I'm gonna put this right on the eggplant and let this cook on the eggplant. It will cook in and will caramelize on top of the eggplant. All right, and here is our lamb, and I'm gonna take this off the bone, this lamb loin. Just give it a cut down here. My special knife. Insert a cut along that bone, so virtually going right down here, right down here. I'll take this knife, it's better because it has a nice rounded edge. So here we go. So I just take this lamb loin off the bone, and that's how it's done. Our lamb loin, which we now grill again, and then we serve it and slice it. So as you can see, we are now in the last throes, just serving our food for the chef's table for today, and was a exciting day with a great audience, and everybody seems to enjoy themselves very much. So bon appetit, and see you next time.